morning to you and welcome to Atlantic Television Network. A lot is going on in Nigeria and today we'll be taking our time to discuss some of these topics on Atlantic Blowout. Atlantic Blowout is a syndicated live program of the network that features chit-chats and conversations on special interest topics, news events and stories through correspondent reports, expert opinion and stakeholders analysis. Today we'll take this story from the statement of the president where he pledges support for business-friendly economy, business-friendly environment, and from the National Assembly where we have reports that Senate to amend constitution for local government autonomy. On health, federal government to decriminalize attempted suicide, Minister statement. On food security, federal government to support 360,000 dry season farmers. And on security, police to end vehicle stops for document checks. This is like a big one for a lot of people. I know there will be lots of celebrations hearing that, oh, finally, no one's going to stop you to check your papers on the road. Okay, but then there's more to this story. Don't celebrate yet. On minimum wage, pensioners urge Labour to demand 250,000 naira instead of what they already accepted and approved as the minimum wage. We'll go on a short break, and after that I'll let you know who my amiable guest is in the studio and we'll delve straight to the stories. Please stay with us. I am Enidoye Jackson. Good to know you're still with us. If you're just joining us, welcome. The program is Atlantic Blowout. And I told you after the break, I'll introduce my guest. With me in the studio is Loveday Oporum. He is the coordinator of the Agri-Graduate Association of Nigeria, River State Chapter, meaning he's an agro-expert, but he is also a public affairs analyst. Good morning to you, Loveday.
Good morning, Annie. Thanks for having me. You're looking so wonderful this morning.
I told you you're looking bright, right? Thank you so much. All right, let's move straight to the first story. This is on the President's statement. On September 19, 2024, President Bola Tinubu reaffirmed his administration's dedication to creating a strong financial system and a business-friendly environment to attract foreign investment. During a meeting at the State House in Abuja with Coca-Cola's global leadership, the company announced plans to invest $1 billion in Nigeria over the next 5 years. Then we had the president there. She praised the company for its long-standing partnership in Nigeria, contributing to the employment of over 3,000 people across 9 production facilities. He emphasized the importance of private sector partnership and pledged government support to foster investment and tackle environmental challenges. Okay, so that's the statement of the president, which we're very much interested in, him telling us how far he's going to, contribute to making sure that the environment is friendly for business. And this in turn will get to, enlarge and help the economy at the moment. Yes, Loveday.
Yeah.
Laudable, right?
Not too laudable.
Okay.
Yeah, I am viewing the story from a different perspective.
Okay.
The statement of ensuring that we have a business-friendly economy and environment have also in retrospect tried to, evaluate or assess the achievement of this current administration in terms of ensuring that we have a very conducive atmosphere for business. And believe me, I haven't seen that particular manifesto or statement being implemented in terms of in real terms. The reason I say this, of course, you and I know, I've checked, beginning from small-scale enterprise to medium-scale enterprise up to large-scale enterprise. You can hardly hear an investor, a business practitioner telling you, oh, we're doing wonderfully well, the atmosphere is very okay. So you begin to wonder if the indices that should qualify this particular statement or the factors are there, and if the conditions are being met. So for me, nothing to applaud. I've already told you that I'm no longer moved by verbal expressions and statements. There's nothing wrong with that initiative or blueprint, but we want to see it manifest. We want to feel the impact of that business-friendly environment, right from the grassroots down to the national level. And it should cut across both small, medium, and large-scale enterprise. And of course, not just to be centered on probably direct foreign or foreign investment only. The locals should also benefit that. So
let's find out what exactly you are talking about when you say you have not seen the factors on ground to enable this particular policy or whatever move the president wants to make. You're a businessman,
sure,
and that's why I can
sure,
ask you this question.
Sure.
So talk to us.
I am. And going further, I don't think is news. I don't think it's news anymore that Nigerians are suffering when it comes to the issue of power, which is one of the major factor or indices that should promote a conducive or should create a good business environment or a conducive business environment. So if we do not have power at this particular point in time, and we're hearing a statement from the presidency talking about a business-friendly environment, how do you reconcile that? Now, talking about the issue of hike in fuel price, for the past 3 weeks or thereabout, has there been any proactive move to ensure that the price of fuel is being cushioned or the effect on the people is being addressed? Nothing. So how do you reconcile that? Those are some of the things that you look at and then you say, okay, yeah, this government is intentional when it comes to creating a very conducive atmosphere for business. But once these things are not there, how about the inflation that is happening at all corners? No price regulation, no monitoring team, nothing. So how do you want us to believe that your administration? So the presidency should do more. They should go beyond the point or what was stated in their blueprint and of course manifesto to addressing the issues practically.
All right, I feel from your explanation, I feel moved to check up on a businessman today. Okay. Like everyone should just check up on a business.
I mean, that would be a very good approach.
Because how exactly are you handling this challenge of the fuel scarcity?
That's it.
Or is your business situated in an environment where there's constant power? I'm checking up on you.
Yeah,
you're a business person. I have to check up on you right now.
I almost shut down. That's the truth, because it became so difficult to run my business with the current cost of petrol. I almost shut down. So all I did was to devise a means. I had to also relate to the parents of my trainee and some of the trainees. You know, if you come, you bear with us. All of us know what's happening in the country. If your training hours is 2 hours or 3 hours, you have to adjust. If there is light, perfect. But if there is no light, the idea of running generator throughout your training section prior to this hike in fuel price, when there is no light, we can no longer cope. We can no longer. So I was able to discuss with my, client, my business, my trainees, and they also saw reason. So as somebody that is into ICT, we do more of laptops and all of that. So that is one area that we have. That's the approach we've been using to cope. Why believing that the government will do something very significant to address that particular issue. Of course, I've also made moves to get an inverter, and one of my systems, just one of my printers in the office, I learned that it will take about, hundreds of thousands, up to 500,000. That should be like 4 months ago before they hike this current hike in fuel price. So if you now go to check the price of that particular, the inverter that will carry that system, now believe me, it should be hitting like 1 million or thereabout. And we'll have other things that are also, demanding our financial attention and all of that. So it becomes a challenge. Now you ask yourself, if I should, in that kind of small business, is a small, not even up to medium, it's a small scale business now. So if I should be investing like 500 to 1 million naira to get a system that will power my machine, so that I will stop probably buying fuel because of the high cost of fuel. Now, how long will it take me to get back that particular, just on that section? We're not talking about consumables, the expenses I run on daily basis. So how long will it take me to get, is that a good business? Is it a good investment for somebody to, make or venture into? So once we do all of these analysis, and if it is not working, the end point will be for you to start thinking on how to change business, So
sometime in 2021, we were talking about a report that said lots of businesses were closing down. In fact, that report, I doubted it myself, even though it was from a credible source, that about 90% of businesses in Nigeria are shut down. I'm like, how can 90% of our businesses shut down?
But that's the truth.
As at then, there was an increase in fuel price, and I think it was just an increase of like 100 naira, and then everyone was going haywire. And to think now the increase that we have is way more than that. I don't know what reports would say about businesses shutting down now.
The truth is that people are tired, people are now dumbfounded. There are certain things you discover or you notice, you no longer have the courage, you no longer have the appetite to even utter words. You just be managing the situation anyhow it comes, whatever be the outcome. I must tell you, the only people that are trying to see how to cope, and they are still, moving, pushing, are those in commercial transport business.
Okay.
Yes, those are into transport business. Once they buy, they top up the charge. They get it from the passengers and they go and make their little profit. So if If you're not into that kind of, because people must move, people must go to work, people must change their location. If you trek for like maybe 1 kilometer or thereabout, I don't think you will trek for the next
kilometer. So you
kilometer.
won't think it's cheaper now, because car owners are even saying they prefer to use the public transport than to buy fuel for their vehicles.
Exactly.
So it seems these guys are having more customers now.
They are having more customers because most of the private car owners are no longer using their vehicle because it's not economical for you to drive 1 or 2 persons, you know, to a particular place. So instead of you to do that, you discover that the fuel, the cost of fuel that you will use will be far, far more than what you would have used to pay transport for 2-3 persons.
Exactly.
You understand? So when you...
But why don't you look at this statement by the president as a way forward? Why don't you look at the statement as the president having understood these challenges, deciding to say he pledges his support for a business-friendly environment?
I shouldn't look at it from that perspective because, for goodness sake, we have issues on ground. We have issues begging for the presidency's attention. We have issues begging for the government attention, and nothing significant seems to, you know, have happened. And then we're hearing a statement from the presidency that they are committed to ensuring or promoting a business-friendly economy and environment. For me, is one of those make, you know, just to, let me use the word, appease, or just to, you know, buy the conscience of the people, or to tame the people. At least the people have heard what they want to hear. But those of us that are also following the system and are keeping record of what's going on, we're no longer moved. We're no longer moved. If the presidency, if the government is sincere that indeed they want to promote and they are committed to ensuring a business-friendly environment, for goodness sake, there is no how our government will be comfortable for the past 3. Do you know what it means to buy fuel for 1,500 naira?
Supreme Court's judgment on local government autonomy. Speaking in Uyo, Akpabio expressed gratitude to President Bola Tinubu for supporting local government autonomy and committed to addressing any potential loopholes. He also reflected on his political journey, noting his rise to Senate President with the support of the party, and down to which the part where concerns us, who reaffirms their commitment. Okay, down to the next. Okay, this is it now. He is talking about the local government autonomy, and he welcomed back the APC members who are loyal to him, who reaffirmed their commitment to the party and all of that. But then Senate to amend constitution for local government autonomy. Were you one of those Nigerians who celebrated at this particular move earlier?
Sure, I did.
So amending the constitution for that now, that's more like implementation.
Well, yeah, I think all the Senate wants to do is just to ensure that that particular policy or the Supreme Court judgment is being constitutionalized.
Yes.
You know, it's like a bill or a policy that finally got a judgment or approval of the legal or the judiciary. So I think it's not out of place for that to be enshrined into Nigerian constitution. However, I know that there is nothing, of course, and this is our democratic setting in this part of the world, here in Nigeria, by the by our lawmakers, without some form of political undertone or hidden agenda. I'm saying this based on experience. So I want to believe that the idea behind this inclusion and this move to amend the constitution should be for the major reason and the main interest for which that particular policy was instituted, or the judgment was given by the Supreme Court. At the end of the day, let us not begin to hear that what has been amended or the section that has been enshrined into the Constitution is now different from what the Supreme Court said. So let it be the way it is. Let it not have any any form of unhealthy political undertone.
But you know that some Nigerians still believe that this is just a ceremony. Yeah. Some Nigerians still believe that the state governors are still going to have exactly the same power that they had over the local government chairman before the introduction of local government autonomy. So they feel like this is just the ceremony.
The first instance never had the interest of the people at heart. So I don't subscribe to that at all.
Talking about the state governors carrying out local government projects, wasn't that because in cases when the local government's not doing the job, and then the state government is coming in. Is that part of the explanation you are giving?
Not in that line from the
Or you're
letter.
talking about before now,
Yeah,
before the autonomy?
before the autonomy.
Okay.
Before the autonomy. You know, we've heard of cases where the government, that's at the state level now, will you know, hold very tight to the fund, you know, that is supposed to be released to the local government, and then decide to be just giving the local government, you know, normal operational expenses under the umbrella of loyalty, and we are subject to the governor and all of that. So that's the point. But with this idea of autonomy, I think the local government has their
Act the local governments.
Definitely, if the fund that is coming, like we gathered, which is one of the tenets of the autonomy, if the fund be going directly, the local government chairman will now have access to their fund. Even if the state government also have a role to play, because they operate under within the jurisdiction of a particular state, of the state leadership. But the access to fund goes the local government chairman. There are so many factors that, you know, plays a critical role prior to the point of one attempting to committing suicide. And going by that Nigerian law, or the particular policy that we exhibit or exercise here when it comes to suicide attempt, you discover that is destructive. Let me use that word. Somebody is already undergoing pains for whatever reason. Somebody wants to take his own life, and you term that to be a kind of, you know, criminal act, and you charge the person, you punish the person. Why not work on the person's mindset? Why not think of how to rehabilitate the person, get to the root of the problem, and then do all of that? Before you know, the person can regain, you know, his or her normalcy, rather than you imprisoning, taking the person to prison. So for me, this particular policy or initiative, once it is being adopted and the implementation commences, it will really help, you know, to, rather than cause more of a suicide attempt. For me, it will reduce the issue. It will reduce the issue, because more persons will have that opportunity of being, you know, counseled, being advised. People will no longer feel, oh, I want to come. If they see me, they will lock me up. Of course, some of the suicidal attempts, if the people have known that if they attempt to do that, the government or there is a particular agency that will want to, once they are caught, they will not imprison them. Believe me, it will help people to open up. It will help people to want to even do it in public, so that they will receive help, they will receive counsel.
Wow, are you serious?
Yes, that's what I'm looking at it.
Okay.
Yes, but with the idea of, if they catch me, they will imprison me, so I'll go to the bush and hang myself. Let me not see where they will catch me. So these are, you know, rational thought, advanced thinking that, for me, the minister has or is thinking of introducing into Nigerian health sector, and I'm seriously praying that it works out. I see it yielding positive result than what we're practicing currently.
When you made this statement earlier, I was trying to see how possible that is, but from your explanation, I think it's clearer now. Okay. But then suicide, especially in this period, there have been an increase in this particular, should I call it an activity now?
Yeah.
Or there have been a huge increase in it, especially with the economy and the state of the economy. You see people, some of them, when they write notes, you see things like there's hardship and all of those kinds of talks. But aside just the policy, what else do you think can be done to cushion, or should I say reduce, the number of suicide or even the attempts? I know you start talking about the economy now. Even to cushion the effect of hardship, I think that's even one step that should be taken.
Sure.
But let's just get your overall view of steps that can be taken to reduce the number of cases.
Yeah, one of the critical steps that will not stop emphasizing on or stop mentioning is the issue of enhancing the economy, ensuring that the people lives a comfortable life. You know, if we're sincere to ourselves, if our leaders wants to, you know, place Nigerians on a scale of average for everybody, it's not a big tax. is not a hard thing to do. So to reduce the number of suicidal attempts, there is need for the government, relevant agencies to work on the economy to ensure that we have a stable economy. We have a system where it doesn't matter what you're doing. It doesn't matter the level of business. You invest within your reach and then make the little profit that you need to earn a living. That's what the people need. But in a situation whereby I am selling, let me use the word common, though it's not common now, and it has never been common, pumpkin, and you discover that the transport I will have to pay, both to get to the farm or to the market where I will sell my pumpkin, is far, far higher than what I'm going to sell at the end of the day. It's a terrible situation. It becomes so difficult for people to cope with that kind of system. And believe me, we are configured differently. God did not create any two person the same way. Even though nobody was, should I use the word, cheaply created. However, circumstances over time, exposures, experiences over time has also affected us separately. So what someone can go through or what I can go through and then come out of it strong and I'm still bouncing. Somebody that looks like Love Day may also go through the same thing, and you see the person attempting to commit suicide.
But while Nigeria's economy was still better than it is now, we still had cases of suicide, rising cases of suicide.
Yeah, but if you look at the analysis or the index or the factor contributing to the issue of suicide prior to this time, you discover that majority of them were not attributed to economy. You understand? Majority of them, issue of rape, sexual harassment, some form of health issues,
substance abuse.
Exactly, substance abuse, health issues. Those were topping then. But currently, if you do a thorough analysis, you discover that issue of economy hardship is one of the factors that is contributing. So it calls for the government to review whatever policy that it has been implementing that is affecting the masses.
Okay.
If the life of the populace, if the life of the masses means something to our government.
But they also mentioned substance. In fact, that was one of the things that was mentioned in that particular story. Substance abuse by it. That already shows us that has a higher or high rates, right? So let's talk about that. Substance abuse by youth. It looks like we have more youths getting involved in this. And now the sad part is that we have younger people. We have younger people who are exposed to this in society. So let's talk about how exactly this can be, how exactly this people can be helped. First of all, the role that we have to play as family, right from the home, as uncles, aunties, brothers, sisters to these children who are getting involved in these things.
You see, Annie, I must tell you, once there is no stability, once there is no financial stability, once there is hunger, hardship, so many things goes wrong. That's the truth. Parents are supposed to invest quality time in raising their children. Am I correct? Parents are supposed to do that. But if the parents does not have what it takes to satisfy the stomach, the parent does not have what it takes to stabilize the stomach, to quench the appetite and the taste of their children, that is not forthcoming. The parents struggle to get that. Do you think that the parents will still secure that or make up that the needed time that is required for them to adequately raise the children? There is already distraction.
Wow.
As a result of lack, as a result of penury, as a result of, starvation, hunger, and all of that. That is a major distraction. So, right from the home front, you discover that most parents have missed it. Some of them not intentionally, still because of the love for the family, because of the effort they are putting to ensure that they get, definitely, for them to get what the family needs to survive. They missed a part of their duty or requirement as parents. Now, stepping out from that,
before we step out from that, do they even know? Do these parents even know that part of their responsibility is to, spend time with these children, to really know what they are becoming?
Yeah, though some parents, we cannot also put that off. Some parents are ignorant. Some persons just give birth and they do not understand that they have a major role to play. Some parents do not understand. When you look at the way they also handle their family and their children. Even some too that have what it takes to satisfy the appetite or financially. When you see the way they also raise their children, you ask some questions. Some parents just believe once I engage or enroll my child in a very wonderful, nice school that has a name, that's all. Some of them do not understand that a father or a mother, a parent, have a role to play outside that of a secular education at the home front. And believe me, what the children see us do forms, I think, more than half of their attitude. It helps to build their character, what they see their parents do. Not necessarily what they are taught or what they hear, but that which they see their parents do. So if you watch and see the action of some of our parents, you also know that some of them do not understand their role in the upbringing of their children. Some parents smoke right in front of their children. Some parents take illicit gins and all of that.
Yes.
They cross their leg, they gist with their wives, and they do all of that, in the presence of their children. That is
sometimes they take the kids to some of these places,
public places,
that they go to,
exactly.
Some of these clubs and bars, and these kids are exposed to all of these visuals.
Yeah.
And that could also be I've heard a father say, why is he sending his children to school? His own responsibility is to provide money. So he's always out there looking for the money. So he's like, why am I sending them to school if the school cannot handle every other thing that there is to handle about the child?
There is already a misplaced priority in that family.
Exactly why I asked that question. Do they even know that this is the role that they're supposed to play? Because some people just feel it's bring the money and that's it.
Yeah. You're right.
But then, aside the parents now and the fact that they are a bit distracted because of the economy, which we have linked back to the economy now, let's look at other factors that are involved.
Yeah, other factors that are involved, especially the issue of, voracious appetite for wealth, voracious appetite for worldliness. We want to belong. We want to show.
On the part of children now, or the youths, or the parents?
Not the parents. On the part of the children now.
Okay.
Yeah, on the part of the children. This competition that has been going on among the early teens for a couple of years now is a major factor. I know competition has been there prior to this time, but it has gotten to another level. For instance, when we were growing up, you cut your clothes according to your material, right? But now, children of nowadays, they want to do exactly what their peers, what their colleague, what their friend, or the person in their class, exactly what they are doing, those of that class that have similar orientation. For instance, the issue of iPhone. Let me just bring that. The issue, you see children of, let me use the word underage.
Okay.
You see 14 years, 15 years using iPhone. And you see other ones hustling. These are students, people that are supposed to be studying. Now, in course of doing that, which they are not yet supposed to be doing, they already start seeing themselves as adults, as people that have arrived. Wow, if my father's friend is using an iPhone and I'm using an iPhone, what is the difference? I can go to a club, and then if my cousin, senior brother can go to a club, me too, I can go to a club. So what is the difference? So you now see at a very tender age, you see children, you see youth, you see teens exposing themselves to, some form of substances that, of course, you need to be matured before you do certain things. You need to be mature. So at this tender age, by the time they start exposing themselves to some form of, drugs, illicit gins, and some of them I cannot mention, before 15, they are already loaded with substances.
Oh my God.
My goodness, before 18 years, there is no how the brain will not begin to have some issues. So it's normal. Now, if you run the analysis very well, you discover that voracious appetite for wealth, show off, that high level of competition has also made the younger generation to lose concentration and focus. They have placed themselves where they are not supposed to be. They are now eating, let me use the word, the food that adults are meant to eat.
Social media is not even helping matters here.
Definitely. And then, when you talk about the issue of public environment, I once had a meeting in one public place, in a hotel. I used one of their reception
Lounge?
or hall, yes, for the meeting. And I saw, I almost went to meet with the management of the hotel. You see underage secondary school students, I mean 14, 16 years, 13 years, 15 years, having party, birthday party. You need to see the kind of drinks these children. I was totally distracted. I said, what is happening? And I looked at the management of the hotel, and they were supplying them drinks. So you see the problem we're having. The economy, our environment, the society has gone to the point that there is no morality. There is no sense of discipline. Nobody even wants to caution. Nobody wants to guide. What we are all after
they're in
is
for their money.
Their money. And if you also look at it very critically, you also, discover that it is also traceable to the issue of economy, the hardship itself. When things were to be normal, somehow, the business managers, the hotel people will tell you, we don't accept people like that here. But in a situation where the hotel is even looking for customers, so once they see the younger ones coming, that policy, they will match the policy and then accept. So if the economy is being stabilized, you discover that it has.
But has this policy ever been different? Because we were all kids, we grew up, we saw these things happen, we saw, even as us being kids, even up till now, and even before now, I know that it is against the law for kids to drink alcohol, right?
Yeah.
But we see that in other climes, it is implemented. We see it at least in movies, where a child will go to buy alcohol and they'll tell you, you are under 18, you cannot get it, right?
Exactly.
But have we ever had that time here? Where have we ever had that happen? I'm not saying it has never happened, do you understand? But what I'm saying is this thing of selling to underage kids did not start today.
It didn't start, but prior to this time, the publicity or the how conspicuous it is now, it has never been like that before.
Okay.
I can still recall when I was small, there is this particular lady that sells, woman that sells around my area. And then one of our uncle that smokes, my uncle sent me to go and buy, was it Benson then, one of those old cigarettes. And when the woman chased me back. Okay. You understand the point? The woman chased me back. That she's not saying that I should go and tell my uncle that she will not sell. I can't forget that particular experience. That's part of training. That's part of leadership.
Right.
And I believe I didn't understand what actually transpired until I started coming up. I believe that woman indirectly communicated something to my uncle. So that is what we're talking about. It has been there, but the way it is happening now, prior to this time, you see people hide to smoke, right? You see people, I mean underage, younger generation, you see them hide to smoke, you see them hide to drink. Some of them will just hide and
but now it's in the open, and nobody is saying anything, no cautioning and anything.
Is a serious issue.
Yes, because recently I was in a student environment and I saw one of the students just smoking and walking on the road. Like I was shocked.
You can imagine that.
I was shocked. I was just looking at him like, and everyone just moved around like everything was normal. No, highest. There was
even prior to this time, even
yes.
tertiary institution, you don't do that. You don't do that
everyone,
publicly.
It seemed normal, and I'm like, publicly. What's going on here? How many years ago did we leave this place? But let's move on now to the next. So before we move on, so we don't push this aside, let's talk about the way forward now. You've talked about the economy and the role that the government has to play in this. Yeah. You've mentioned the parents, spending more time with their children and all of that. Let's look at other ways that we can, get over this in next 1 minute.
Yeah, one of the ways we can get over this, I will still bring in the government here. The government should make the atmosphere to be very conducive for both, the skilled and the unskilled persons to fit in. Now, an idle man is the devil's workshop, like is popularly said. Some of these things, some of these younger people, if you engage them meaningfully, some of the time they spend in frivolities and some of all these things will be reduced. Some of those times will be reduced. But because even their parent does not have the financial capacity to engage some of them, the parents are also helpless. So you see the children, some of them are even the one now providing for taking care of their children. So it's a major challenge. If the government will provide what is required, the government cannot engage every person. But if the atmosphere, if the environment is fertile, if the environment is viable, people can do things, within their little corner and then move on with life.
All right, before we move on, I must chip this in. Parents need to stop putting a lot of pressure on their children.
Definitely.
Because we've seen videos on social media where kids, females or males, talking about how they need to make money.
Yeah.
At 14, a child is already, out there trying to hustle to bring in money home. And I'm like, the parents of a 14-year-old child should be young. What are they doing? I mean, your child is 14.
It's a terrible situation. I read one on social media, a girl of 16 years. She was being interviewed and she was boldly, telling her audience that she left her house at the age of 16, that she rented an apartment, self-contained, I think somewhere around one of the western states. And the interviewer was like, your parents, are they aware that you're not? He said yes. That she packed out from their house, that both the mom and the dad, that they knows her whereabouts. And people were like, you mean your parents are aware that you're moving and they didn't restrict you?
I saw that video where
yes.
she's living with her boyfriend.
She said, no, this one said that the boyfriend rented the apartment for her, that the boyfriend even comes to their house and that he gives the parents money. I was like, wow. So that is where we are. That's where we are in the country.
Let's have more parents, take responsibility. You brought these kids to the world. Stop putting so much pressure on them to bring money home for you. I mean, if you couldn't get money even at your age, then how would a 14-year-old be able to get money to take care of you? Let's move on to the next story. The federal government plans to fund 360,000 farmers as part of its strategy to stabilize the economy through agricultural development. According to Finance Minister Wale Edun, this initiative aims to cultivate 360,000 hectares, producing 1.4 million metric tons of food by early 2024 to reduce inflation and stabilize food prices. The government has also partnered with initiatives like the Young Farmers Club, launched by First Lady Remi Tinubu, and Edu emphasized the importance of fiscal management, while Aliko Dangote stressed the need for local production to reduce reliance on foreign imports. How do you see this particular initiative?
It's not new. It's not a new initiative. It's part of the thing that we've been advocating for. So one of the major challenges or the major problem we have when it comes to advancing agricultural innovations, especially here in Nigeria, is that of the government or the relevant agencies not channeling the required resources to the right platforms or organization. The issue of dry season farming is not new.
But you said the idea, is it the idea you're saying is not new, or this initiative, this move, this policy, is that what you're saying is not new?
The idea and the policy, they are not new.
So we have had the government, we have had these dry season farmers, and we've had the government supporting them.
Definitely, it has been. Previous administration had done something in that regard.
Okay.
But there is, like I was saying, the initiative is always fixed with a particular challenge. The concept of dry season farming entails, the government or the people leveraging on areas that has, the capacity, that has a soil system that has the capacity to retain moisture, you understand, even during dry season. That's one part of the initiative or the idea or the concept of dry season farming. And then another one is to also help areas that do not have that their topography or the soil does not have the required capacity to retain moisture during dry season. So you use irrigation facility or system in those areas. These are two different, ideas behind dry season farming. Now, if you understand dry season farming like this, you discover that in Nigeria, virtually all states can practice dry season farming if our government have this understanding of dry season farming. But we have noticed over time, in Nigeria, it appears the concept of dry season farming is being introduced or implemented with those from the northern part of the country as major or key beneficiary. And now, if it continues like that, the ideology behind dry season farming can never be actualized, because the particular crop or crop variety that will thrive in the north will not be or may not be the same crop variety that will thrive in the south or in the west. So the equation must be balanced. Now, if it is not balanced and you're always funding a part of the country, because your understanding of dry season farming is irrigation farming, areas that do not have water, that do not have adequate rainfall, so you fund that area for them, they will produce crops that, they will invest in areas where they have comparative advantage, crops that does well within that particular geographical location, thereby, reducing the production of crop that doesn't do well in their own area, because those in the other area will not have that government support and the capacity to now produce. So you discover that the equation will be like, it will not be balanced. Now, the production from that area will be increasing. There will be high demand because those are producing. And some of the things that are supposed to be produced by other areas will not be produced. And there will be an adjustment in terms of appetite.
So why have we not had that much support in other areas?
Yeah. I'm about to get to that point, but let me quickly pinpoint that now. Is the political hitches, what I call political hitches or bottleneck, or political undertone, is political in nature. That is what I feel. And because there is this, even if not true, there is this notion or mindset that those in the south and part of the west, that they are not really into agriculture. So the north, where the cereals, the grains are being produced, they call farmers. There is that kind of wrong notion. So it now makes the investment to tilt towards that particular area. And of course, the government too. The government in some of those states where the much attention that is required by farmers are not being gotten, are not also playing their own key role. Just like it has been announced by the government, the presidency, about 360,000 hectares of farmland. It now behoves on state government, it now behoves on state commissioners for agriculture to now move, drive the process. The federal government has laid the foundation. They have made a statement. So the state government should now move. The commissioner for agriculture from different states, especially those states that have been, let me use the word disenfranchised prior to this time. That is if they even know that they have been disenfranchised. Believe me, even with this policy and launching of this particular initiative, some of the commissioners of agriculture may not even know that something like this is obtainable. So it's a major challenge. Now, talking about the second part of the story, which borders on the launch of a school club, right? Farmers club for the students, is not a new concept. It's not a new concept. When we were in school, we floated that. We also tried to partner with the government. Then we visited the Ministry of Agriculture to see how we can revive school farms. After school, we also tried the same initiative to sell it to the government to see how we can revive school farm. As graduates now, visit, so that we can now be visiting secondary schools, primary school, setting up little farms, gardens, like we had, like it used to be. That's where the passion for agriculture, for food production starts. But there was no relevant support, because you need approval. You can't just penetrate government facility or get into school and say you want. The highest we could do was to just give sensitization, orientation. So
saying we don't have that in some of these public schools?
Definitely.
We don't have farms?
We don't.
These public schools have enough space in the environment.
That's the point. That's the challenge.
And even while growing up, we saw that public schools had farms and the children were involved in agriculture. What changed?
Currently, we visit most of the public school areas that were supposed to be used for crop cultivation. You see grasses littered everywhere. So it's a major challenge. What I want to say concerning this particular initiative is something that should be, practically implemented. It's something that is very okay, very good, commendable, but it's not new, like I said. Now, the president's wife, Her Excellency must, try not to repeat what others have been doing that has also resulted to the policy or the initiative not not being sustained after a particular administration or a particular period of time.
Okay.
And how will she achieve that? Like we keep saying, AGAN is spread across the 36 states of Nigeria. We have other agricultural-based organizations. Identify them, partner with them. Of course, we're going to partner with them and then see how they will not penetrate this school. Because it's not about launching farmers club. What is the modality to implement the initiative? What is the modality to sustain the idea? If you launch it in a particular state or a particular school, maybe in the FCT, how do you spread it across the 36 states of the Federation where we have public schools? That should be the idea. And to do that, you need structures. You need structures, organizations that will partner directly with the Ministry of Agriculture. You don't just keep it open. There should be people, recognized or mandated to partner with the Ministry of Agriculture to have this particular initiative implemented. With this particular idea, I believe the sustainability of the initiative will be guaranteed, because AGAN as an organization is not expiring, unlike a government is tenured. So initiative like this needs to be handed over to, stabilize and functioning or functional organizations.
Do we have agro experts in other parts of the country, aside the north now, which you have said, oh, there's so much attention there and all that? Do we have agro experts in other parts of the country that are involved in this dry season farming?
Well, like I said before, dry season farming, if you listen to my definition, you discover that it's something that should course across the 36 states.
It should.
Yes.
But is that the case?
That is not the case. That is not the case. It's the aim. The singular aim is to ensure and promote food availability and sufficiency.
Which we know. But why does it look like we have to wait for the government before we can engage in that? I mean, we're not waiting for the government before we're engaging in other types of farming.
Okay,
so
I now understand.
Yes, dry season
there is,
that we have to wait?
Is a bit technical. Each crop in my area, because of the rainfall pattern, or let me use SAT for instance, because of rainfall pattern and all of that, you discover that there is a particular season where the people would like to start planting yam. There's a particular season where the people would like start planting, begin to plant cassava and all of that. Now, that particular idea is based on what nature has taught the people and the farmers over time. Now, the issue of dry season farming, you're trying to grow crops, not minding the season, right? Mm-hmm. Not minding the season, not minding, some other factors. That means it's not just an ordinary practice. It's something that involves technology. The cultivars or the planting materials are not the regular type. Okay. Those are planting materials that are technologically breeded or produced. They are fortified for that particular purpose. So if you use, for instance, if you use a cassava stem that is not drought tolerant, and you are using that particular cassava stem to do your dry season planting, you will not have good yield. So the particular cassava variety that should be used, or that is usually used for dry season, are the ones that has the capacity to withstand drought while managing the little moisture in the soil, or the moisture that will be provided.
So it's not something that private individuals can come together.
Definitely, good. That is the point. Now, it's something that requires the presence or the effort of government institutions. We have institutions that are responsible for that. We have research centers. So, though for the dry season farming, before they launch it, they have already made available enough of those planting materials, and they are the ones to distribute. They were the one that gives it out. So that's why I said prior to this time, it has been having that form of political undertone, because if it doesn't come to you, you can't assess it. So
it has been distributed to just a particular section of the country.
Prior to this time, that is what it used to be. That is the picture that we are always seeing. But let's hope that President Tinubu's government, that we're going to experience something different, that dry season farming will spread across the 36 states of Nigeria.
All right, thank you for breaking that down and explaining that to us. But at this moment, we'll go on a short break. And when we return, we'll take an interesting story. This story is really interesting. You should find out more about the details. Please don't go anywhere. Stay with us on ATN. And we are back. Thank you so much for standing by. Let's continue the show. I told you we have an interesting topic. If you have been one of those Nigerians who have been complaining about being stopped on the road and your papers being checked, well, it will interest you to know that the Nigeria Police Force has introduced the Electronic Central Motor Registry, that's the ECMR, to enhance vehicle information management. Now, this is it. This digital system, it was launched under Inspector General Olukayode Ebetokun. It aims to improve road safety and streamline policing. Vehicle owners can register their vehicles online and instantly report theft with alerts sent to field officers nationwide. The system eliminates the need for physical paperwork, allowing real-time document verification and easier access to vehicle information. The initiative is part of a broader effort to modernize and digitalize motor vehicle registration for increased security and efficiency. This sounds really juicy, but hey, what does my guest have to say about this one? Loveday, what do you think about this story?
Just like you said, it sounds really juicy and interesting. But we don't want to be...
You have a but?
Definitely.
There's a but?
There is.
Is this you being in Nigeria now? This is you really saying how it is? Okay, let me hear you.
There is a but, a very big but for that matter.
Okay.
Yes, it's a good initiative, like I said earlier on, but the challenge, or what I'm envisaging, is the possibility of, stopping the idea of police parking vehicles for the singular reason of Roger and search. You know what I mean by Roger? So that is the major. That's the major challenge, because prior to this time we've had issues where previous police IGs have come out to tell Nigerians that no police is allowed to stop you, to tax you, to collect money from you, and all of that. But even when some of these issues are being reported with evidences, you can't also see any proactive measure or disciplinary action by the required authority. So what's going to happen differently this time? This
is what's going to happen differently. First of all, nobody's going to ask you for your papers. That's what's going to happen differently.
And you think that will be possible?
Why?
You think that will be possible? I don't see the possibility. I don't see the possibility. I just want to be... I don't want to be optimistic. I don't want to see it happening, because it's not... Nigerian police is one critical sector that has the mandate to represent Nigerian government, and of course the entire Nigeria, because they interact with the masses, they interact with the people down to the grassroots. But at times, what you see the field officers exhibit is usually quite different from some of the directive or the signals that the masses do get from the office.
Okay.
So it's now I'm finding it difficult to reconcile how the organs at the top will now manage the situation, since they will not be the ones to regulate it, yes, on the field. So that's my challenge. And then talking about the issue of stopping, the issue of checking papers and all of that, that all of that will be addressed. How is it going to be addressed? If it were to be done easily like that, then the police should have partnered with the Nigerian Road Safety Commission, that is charged with the responsibility of documenting vehicle particulars and car register and all of that. So I am seeing this initiative from a different perspective.
Okay, so they are going to have this. You'd register your vehicle online, right?
Sure.
And then these field officers will have access to the information of the different vehicles. Do you understand?
Definitely.
So if there's a case of vehicle theft, you can quickly make a report online, and all these field officers are signaled, and then they stand alert. checking for that particular vehicle, and you said this is something that you don't think can fly?
In Nigeria.
We've been talking about technology. Or why don't you use what happened to technology, what happened to intelligence reports? Or that this is intelligence reports.
Okay, let me just bring this. Maybe that's the reason I'm finding it difficult to believe that this will work. Like I said, it's a wonderful initiative, but my challenge is, you know, seeing it work. I don't see that happening because of
what do you think will be the bottlenecks?
The bottleneck will be the same bottleneck that stopped C4I project or C4I initiative. The same bottleneck that made that system not to work. If you can recall vividly, some couple of years back, that should be like 10 years ago or thereabout, the C4I initiative was introduced into Nigeria, and we had some, you know, police checkpoints being fortified technologically. Once there is any form of, you know, suspicion, or there is a report or a signal of car theft, once you get to the checkpoint, the police will park you. They will direct you. You pass through. There is how they built that particular, how they developed the checkpoint at that particular point in time. Your vehicle will pass through, and there is a scanning machine. From what we gathered, the scanning machine will scan the vehicle, and they had security dogs. Giant security dogs that was also doing, I don't know the kind of check that the dogs were doing, but you see the dogs sniffing, you know, going around some persons. If you have bag, the dogs will check and all of that, you know. So we were like, wow, this will really help. The issue of insecurity, car theft will be but as I'm talking to
go, when the Labour and the federal government were having talks about the minimum wage, it was a back and forth conversation, and a lot of Nigerians got tired of the whole situation, where you'd hear, oh, we're going to have a meeting tomorrow and we'll discuss it, and all of us are waiting for that meeting. And then after the meeting, you find out that they say, oh, we had certain conversations, but we're going to have another meeting next week to discuss the same thing. Finally, we heard that, oh, the new minimum wage is now 70,000 naira, and it has been implemented. But remember, it started from somewhere. They were calling certain amounts that people felt was outrageous. We're hearing amounts like was 600,000 naira, we're hearing amounts like 250,000 naira, and the rest of them. But today, pensioners in the Southwest under the Nigeria Union of Pensioners have rejected the 70,000 naira minimum wage that was signed into law by President Bola Tinubu, urging labor unions to push for 250,000 naira minimum wage due to rising fuel prices. Now, they have criticized the government for increasing petrol prices after the wage agreement, accusing labor leaders of being misled. The pensioners are also calling for local government autonomy without disrupting pension payment for retired teachers and local government workers. They praise some state governors for pension improvements, but urge others to implement a 33% pension increase and adjustment before introducing the new minimum wage. They had a lot of demands here, starting from the labor, telling the labor to go back to the 250,000 naira, and they say, what happened to you? Why did you succumb to 70,000 naira? You were misled. Can't you see? Immediately after they approved the 70,000 naira, fuel price went up. That is their own that's their own analysis. But Loveday, what are your thoughts on this one?
Do you think my thought will be different from that of the pensioners?
Is it?
Is virtually similar or even same. You know, it will be difficult for an average Nigerian to believe that the hike in fuel price wasn't or isn't as a result of the adjustment
of the minimum
wage. I'm telling you, because we've never had it like this. The hike is unbearable, is unheard of. It's something that one cannot reconcile with current realities.
I don't think it's something we've ever imagined would happen.
It has never been imagined. It has never been imagined. So, if the pensioners are coming to that particular conclusion, I don't think
they should go back to 250,000. That's what you're saying.
Definitely, there is need for review. There is need for review. And for goodness sake, how much is a bag of rice? A bag of rice goes for 80,000. I once read in one of our platforms, some of the producers, you know, my colleagues, they were advertising 78,000. You know, difference of 2,000 naira, 78,000 naira, and that we're talking about minimum wage of how much? 70,000 naira. So it doesn't fit, it doesn't reflect the current reality, especially considering the issue of fuel price, which goes for 1,500 or 1,400 naira currently. So if there is a move by the labor to call for a review of the minimum wage, I think it's something that the Nigerians should support, and we even accept the government will do the needful, which Nigerians are beginning to get tired of waiting, by reducing the fuel price. That's the only way then we can maintain status quo. But if the fuel price will still continue to be at the rate of 1,005, even 1,000 naira is high, with minimum wage of 70,000 naira. Even 800, even 700 is high.
We used to say 500 naira was very high.
You understand, and it's now it's like triple.
500 naira.
It's triple. So that's what we expect our government to do.
Do you see the government, even if the labor brings this up again, which I don't know if they will, but do you see the government even giving them any face to this? Remember what it took for it to even be moved. According to the constitution, it was already constitutional, right? That after 5 years, this should be reviewed.
Exactly.
And then it was time for that review, and yet Labour had to fight for it. So after all of that, do you think the federal government will even give face to Labour bringing this up again?
Well, I think if the interest and the survival of Nigerians is the interest of our government, once this comes up, I think there should be a listening, they should give a listening ear to it, because the economy is biting. If the federal government is claiming that they don't have much to do concerning the fuel price, that they are working on something, that things will definitely improve, for goodness sake, while we're waiting for things to improve, there should be an adjustment too. Then once things also improve for the better, we'll also readjust.
But for 250,000 naira, you just said the economy is biting. And when we talk about the economy being shaky or being weak at the moment, let's also remember that it also has to do with the side of government too, not just the side of the people.
Sure.
So is 250,000 naira viable to pay as minimum wage, remember, around the country?
Well, it is viable. The reason I maintain that it's viable is because we have not seen the government at all level significantly reduce or adjust some of their expenses, some of the costs, of the project and programs that they do, which does not have direct impact on the people or the society. So if the biting economy hasn't got to the point where our leaders, our government will begin to adjust their personal carriage and principles, then I don't think increasing minimum wage or considering an adjustment or a review of the 70,000 naira minimum wage should negatively affect the government expenditure or finance. I don't see it.
Even though we had a lot of governors who are saying even the 70,000 naira they cannot pay it.
For me, I see those governors not being sincere. I see them not being sincere. So the question is, how do they expect the civil servants to cope? How do they expect workers to cope? You want to maintain paying workers, 35,000 or 45,000 naira minimum wage with the current
Some of them
realities.
had not even started paying that 30,000.
I once said, that attitude may likely result to, future protests or demonstration, because there is no how we'll be working in a particular state, and I'm aware, I see my colleagues enjoying the 70% minimum wage, which there is also an emerging advocacy for review currently, and I see my colleague enjoying 70%, and I'm still, so believe me, it will get to the point that the workers may decide, if we lose the job, let us lose the job, and then they will move to the street, they will move to the government house, and then make public statements.
Well, the question I have been asking when I heard that when we got reports that some state governors have not even started paying, the previous minimum wage. The question I was asking is, does it mean that nothing can be done? Does it mean that these governors can just do what they like with the payment of salaries and just get away with it? Recently, we're seeing reports about the private sectors being told that they should make sure they pay the minimum wage, else they'll be,